Hey guys, what's up? It is the one and only RJ21 here, and today I'm going to be recapping the events of week 11 of Big Brother 25 and giving my updated power rankings. Week 11 was announced to be comic-verse week, promised to be impacted by superpowers throughout the week. The first power was the BB power of invisibility, meaning that this upcoming HOH, whoever wins, will not be revealed by production, meaning that the new HOH is invisible and is secret, meaning that nobody will fully know who the HOH is. Now, because production is not revealing themselves who the HOH is, they will also be eligible to compete in HOH next week. Obviously, this is going to play a factor later on in the week, but that's later on in the week. The HOH competition ends up being BB Comics. Usually it's a veto competition, but this season they made it an HOH competition because it is a time comp, and that is probably the easiest way of telling people whether or not they are the invisible HOH. It turns out that Jag ends up winning this HOH with around a time of 8 minutes and 30 seconds, if my memory does serve me right. And Jag initially wants to keep it a secret, but eventually does tell his close allies in the likes of Matt, Corey, and America. With this initial four, they plan on getting rid of Blue. So at the nomination ceremony, Jag nominates Blue and Felicia. Obviously, that's a weak move because you have this invisible HOH and you have the ability to make a power move, and you could have just put up Blue and Felicia on any other HOH, and it seemed like kind of a waste, but that's whatever. Before the veto competition, America tries extending an olive branch to Blue by leaking that Corey and America view Matt and Jag as a future threat that needs to be taken out very soon. And Blue, not fully trusting America and being blindly loyal to Matt and Jag, decides to go to Matt and Jag and tells them what America has been saying and alluding to what America and Corey are planning in the future. Now, Blue doesn't know that Jag is the invisible HOH. Blue is just blindly loyal to them. Matt and Jag decide to take this information and to come to the rationalization that it is time to make a move if these circumstances pertain themselves. The next superpower of the week is revealed to be the BB power of multiplicity, meaning that, number one, everybody competes in the power of veto this week, and two, there's two vetoes, meaning that everybody will compete in the first veto, and then everybody except the winner of the first veto will compete in the second power of veto. The veto competition ends up being the spinning discs competition, and Jag ends up winning that, beating the record for that specific competition with about a little over 2 hours, is what I remember. A luxury competition is actually up for grabs for Jag, where Jag has to hold on to, I believe, a zip line or just like a line for as long as possible, and every 30 seconds he lasts, he earns $500. And in addition, Jag holding on to this little zip line is the veto competition for the other house guests, where the other 7 house guests, whichever one of them guesses the closest to Jag's actual time, will win the second power veto, while the 2 people with the furthest answers will receive punishments. Jag lasts on the zipline for around 110 seconds, and Blue ends up guessing 105 seconds, winning her the second power veto, while Suri and Felicia both guessed 600 seconds, which is like 10 minutes, which is honestly crazy, because how in the world are you going to hang on to anyways, both of them end up getting punishments, with Felicia getting a punishment of solitary confinement for 24 hours, while Suri got a superhero punishment lasting for the remainder of the comic-verse week, where every time production called her, Suri would have to do a task in her superhero outfit. With Blue winning the veto, obviously the nominations have to change. So Matt and Jag come to the decision that since Blue is already coming off the block, they might as well pull the trigger and make the big move. So before the veto ceremony, Jag specifically tells everybody that he's the HOH, and tells everybody except Corey and America that he's going to nominate Corey and America. So come nomination ceremony, Blue uses her veto first to save herself, and then Jag uses his veto to save Felicia. Then both America and Corey are put up as the replacement nominees, with either one of them being the target as long as one of them went home. Despite Corey's campaigning throughout the entire week, Corey was the much bigger strategic threat between the two of them, and come eviction night, despite Corey coming close to flipping the vote, Corey ends up getting voted out by a unanimous vote of 5-0, becoming the second member of the jury. At this point, the house dynamics aren't actually shifting that much. We're so late into this game that there's very little wiggle room for the dynamics to change whatsoever. So they're not really changing. But what is changing is people's awareness of the house dynamics. People are slowly starting to clock how big of a threat Matt and Jag are, and how both of them need to be taken out at the first given opportunity. Are they ever going to get the ability to do that? I don't know, because everybody in the house besides Matt and Jag sucks at competitions. Well, maybe not sucks, but they're not that good in competitions because they're mostly physical, and Matt and Jag are like the two most physical guys in the house. But that's a different issue. As it stands right now, Matt and Jag are still in the center. They've roped in Bowie Jane as a third kind of like goat to just take to the end that they can easily beat in comps. So it's really just Matt and Jag running things and just waiting to pick off the likes of Blue, America, Suri, and Felicia until they just steamroll their way to the end. People like Suri and Felicia are starting to build a contingent against Matt and Jag, but because that contingent can't win any competitions, they can't really do anything against Matt and Jag. So right now, the house is still very Matt and Jag centric, but there is starting to form a bigger and bigger like collegiance or contingent, a much bigger contingent that is forming to take out Matt and Jag. Are they going to get that opportunity anytime soon? I don't know. I hope they do, but as it stands right now, it's just Matt and Jag running everything and everybody else just trying to scramble for any sort of semblance of power to hopefully take a shot at them. Just a quick disclaimer, this video is being filmed much later than I usually film these videos, so I do know who the new HOH is, who they nominated, and who won the power of veto. So those factors will be impacting my power rankings. But with all that out of the way, let's actually get into the power rankings. At number 8, the most recently evicted house guest and the second member of the jury, we have Corey. And I'm so sad Corey went home. Corey was a preseason favorite of mine. You know, with him being the young, the kind of nerdy superfan archetype, I definitely think that he maybe not lived up to that archetype necessarily, but in terms of what he accomplished in the game, I think he did a lot. He flipped the power structure the week Izzy went home. He got into a showmance. He seems to be pretty beloved by a majority of the fan base. I would say it seems like a lot of the fan base does either like him and or respect his gameplay, but there is an argument to say that Corey did get twist screwed this week. You know, with if the BB power of multiplicity isn't in play, Blue doesn't win the second veto to save herself, and then Blue doesn't come off the block, and then America and Corey probably don't even touch the block despite what Blue says. So there is definitely an argument to say that Corey was twist screwed out of the game this week. Personally, I think that this move was eventually going to happen. I think Corey was getting very sloppy with his gameplay. I think he was getting very cocky and arrogant and a little too confident in the bonds that he had with Matt and Jag. He's also being a little too loose with his information about wanting to target Matt and Jag, because even though America was the one who brought it up to Blue, who then told Matt and Jag, Corey had been expressing that sentiment to the likes of people like Suri. So if Blue wasn't going to leak it, Suri was definitely going to utilize it to get them to target Corey in the near future. So I think it was just, not necessarily destiny, but it was just fate coming up much sooner than he initially anticipated. I think Corey played a good game this season. I think Corey, maybe not a great game, but I think Corey played a pretty strong game. Socially, he seemed to do pretty well in the beginning. He integrated himself very well, eventually got himself or talked himself into the majority alliance. He was able to branch out and bond with people like Suri and Izzy. He had a lot of leverage, and even though he did get into a showmance with America, I don't necessarily think that that is what honestly tanked his game. I don't think him getting in that showmance is what made him lose the game. I honestly do think that Corey and America's the showmance that they had, in all honesty, probably benefited their game more so than not, because even if they are like considered a power duo and things like that, they're still a strong duo that other strong duos wanted to work with. We saw that with Matt and Jag and how they wanted to work with Corey and America, not necessarily because they're close allies and they trust them, but because they're another duo shield, and duo shields are great in the game of Big Brother. So overall, I think Corey played a pretty good game. He was also pretty entertaining in the diary room. At least I enjoyed his presence in the diary room. Overall, I think Corey played a good game. He was a significant character. I wouldn't be shocked if he got the call for BB All-Stars 3 or Big Brother Second Chances. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Corey on Big Brother again. But I am so disappointed that Corey had to go this early. But unfortunately, Corey has to stay here at number 8. Now it's time to talk about players that are actually still in the game. At number 7, the person I think that is in the worst position in the house is America. And America is nominated. She's on the block. And she didn't win the veto, so she's probably going to stay on the block. And she isn't the target, but I just don't feel confident in putting her over the person I have at number 6. America just doesn't have any runway. She doesn't have any runway. She has solid relationships with the likes of like Matt and Jag on a personal level, but on a game level, she doesn't have anybody. It seems like she's trying to like play possum for a little bit, trying to play under the radar, kind of slink back into the shadows, kind of like what Cirie did when she lost Izzy and Jared, like back to back. But as it stands right now, America just has no future runway, and I do see the potential in a vote flip on her, where even though both her and Blue are sitting on the block this week, the votes could flip and America could be sent home if the likes of like Cirie and Felicia and one of either Bowie, Jane, Matt, or Jag decide that they want to take America out. America goes home. I just don't feel confident in putting America any higher because she doesn't have the relationships, the game relationships she needs to progress forward. Now, with that being said, America does have some leverage. She has been getting closer to Cirie on a game level, and they have started like working together for the most part. Not necessarily working together, but they are starting to look out for one another much more so than they did in the past, but it's just not enough for me. I just don't know if America has the social capital she needs to move forward. I also don't feel confident in her competition ability. Supposedly she got second in this week's HOH and POV, but as far as that, I don't really know. I really don't know with America. I think maybe it's a little high variance, maybe it's just a little unpredictability, but with America, she seems like she's on the very bottom of the house. If that veto does go wrong somehow, like if Jag, the person who won the veto, ends up wanting to take Blue off the block, or maybe Bowie Jane goes up, or something crazy happens, I definitely see a world in which America goes home, and that does not make me feel very confident about her game. I wish America was doing better. Obviously, America was doing better when Corey was in the house, and it's almost like she has to start from square one all over again. But when she started from square one in the beginning of this house, she was in one of the best positions of the house. So there is definitely potential for America to make lemonade out of the lemons she's been given. It's just a matter of can she do it with the resources she has right now. In my opinion, there's a possibility, not a big one, but there is a possibility. And even if that possibility is there, I just don't feel confident in America's ability to do anything with that. So even though I want America to do well, I really want America to do well. I want America to survive this week. I want her to make a power move like she's been wanting to make all season. It's just that I don't know if she will or if she can. And because of that, I have to keep America here at the very bottom at number 7. At number 6, I have Blue. And Blue is nominated this week. She didn't win veto, and she is the target. So it's very likely that Blue does go home this week. However, I just didn't feel confident in putting Blue at the very, very bottom because she has a much higher likelihood of the vote flipping to keep her. She has the likes of Cirie, and Cirie has Felicia. And if one of those two, and if both of them vote to keep her, all she needs is one of either Bowie, Jane, Matt, or Jag to vote to keep her. And she stays in the game. And I really I really think that there is a real possibility of that happening this week. Will Blue somehow tank it? Probably, but there is an opportunity for her to stay, which is why I didn't want to put her at the very bottom. This last week shows that Blue is a decent player. Blue has the makings of a good player. If she's given the right opportunity and the right information, she can make big waves. She was, I would say, like 50, maybe even 75% of the reason Corey and America went up and Corey went home. That's great for her game. She was given information and she utilized it with her allies, and her allies were able to then take that shot at Corey. Like, that was very impressive gameplay from her, and it shows that she does have a solid game ability to make the right moves. Her only problem is that she continuously shoots herself in the foot at almost every given opportunity. She knows that Matt and Jag put her up. She knows that Matt and Jag targeted them. And even though Jag did try and play it off and say that, oh, it was Corey and America's fault, and it was the two of them who said to target you, even though Matt and Jag tried to play it off like that, Blue should still be aware that Jag and Matt were willing to take that shot at her. That should be sign enough to her that they don't fully trust her and they don't want to fully keep her in the game, because they were willing to put her up and send her home without Blue knowing. The only reason Blue stayed last week was because she won the power of veto. What she did with that veto was great, but if she didn't have that veto, she would have been the second juror. Hands down, if there wasn't a BB power of multiplicity, she would have been the second juror, hands down. I firmly believe that. But with this new sense of life that has been breathed into Blue's game, I really think Blue does have potential to make big moves. I do think Blue has the potential to make it a little further in the game than I initially thought. Do I think Blue's going to be able to survive this week? Probably not. But there is a possibility, a much higher possibility, of Blue staying if votes go the right way. But I really hope Blue does well. I really hope that Blue somehow finds a way to flip this vote and to keep herself in the game. I know I said I wanted America to stay and to fight, but I think Blue staying in this game and then turning on the people who turned on her in Matt and Jag and being the person to take them out, I think that would be poetic justice in its finest, to go from allies to enemies to frenemies to being the one to send them out the house. That would be a perfect storyline for Blue, and I think that would be honestly so amazing to watch. But I just don't know if Blue has the game ability for that to happen. But she does have a little bit better position, a little bit better leverage than America, which is why I kept her here at number 6. At number 5, I have Felicia. And with the recent events that I just read before filming this, Felicia might have actually just tanked her entire game. But let's get to that later. With this past week, Felicia was a pawn, and that's how she's continued to be perceived in this house. A pawn. And if she doesn't change that perception, she's going to have like 0 jury chances. From the exit interviews of Cameron and Corey, it seems like they don't really respect Felicia's game. And that's a really big issue for her. She's perfectly fine being a pawn. Well, and when I say fine, she's not fine being a pawn, but in terms of like her positioning, it's decent enough for her to be a pawn. You know, she's going to make it further into the game. She's going to have a little more leverage to make it further. Like, being a pawn is fine in terms of just moving forward, but in terms of winning, that is horrible for her game. Nobody's going to respect her. Nobody's going to vote for her. Somebody like even Bowie Jane, who wasn't necessarily playing for the first half of this season, would probably beat her in a jury vote. And that's really bad to have. But onto the news that I just learned. Apparently, Felicia, before the veto competition, Felicia threw Cirie under the bus and said that Cirie told Blue that Blue was the target and she needed to win or else she would go home. If Felicia really did throw Cirie under the bus like that and tanked Cirie's positioning, I think some people are saying that that might be good for Felicia's game, but it's not. Because if Cirie's equity goes down, Felicia's equity goes down. Because Felicia's value, Felicia's value as an asset and as a player in this game depreciates with Cirie. If Cirie isn't trusted, Felicia isn't trusted because those two are just seen as such a tight duo. Even though they've had their ups and downs, even though they've kind of like broken their friendship and then come back together due to circumstances, Felicia needs Cirie. Felicia needs Cirie to move forward in this game. Like, I don't want to discredit Felicia's game abilities. She has expressed in the past that she has really good game abilities, but Felicia needs Cirie. Cirie is the only person that would even consider taking Felicia to the final two, like genuinely taking her to the final two because she wants to be at the end with her. Cirie is the only person that would do that for Felicia. Is there a high possibility of that happening? No, because Felicia or Cirie, neither Felicia nor Cirie can win a comp to save their lives. But Felicia needs Cirie. And if Cirie is getting targeted or goes home this week, then Felicia is probably going to be the next one out. Well, maybe not the next one out, but she's going to go home much sooner than if Cirie wasn't in the game. I think Felicia is in a very tumultuous position that she put herself in. I do think she is definitely in some hot water that is potentially tanking her game, but she's not an immediate target like America or Blue, and she does have that really solid connection with the likes of Cirie that is keeping her safe for now. But as it stands, Felicia definitely needs some work on her game, especially in these final weeks, especially going into a double, where it's very likely that Felicia probably goes home because she doesn't have the time to campaign for herself to stay. I definitely think that Felicia is going to be in trouble very soon, and because of that, I have to put her here at number 5. At number 4, I have the one and only Bowie Jane. And Bowie Jane moved down from last week because she's really lost a lot of leverage with Matt and Jag this week. Matt and Jag desperately want to take Bowie Jane to the end because Bowie Jane is an easy beat, at least next to the two of them. But Bowie Jane really messed up her relationship with Matt and Jag this week with her unwillingness to be a pawn. It's understandable why she doesn't want to be a pawn, because pawns, as Big Brother would say it, pawns go home. But she really messed up that relationship. Now they really, really don't trust her. I think Jag was saying on the feeds earlier, like today or yesterday, that the reason that Jag and Matt took the shot at Corey in America was because of Blue, but also because Bowie Jane wasn't willing to go up as a pawn. And because of that, they've really lost a lot of trust in her, and they aren't as eager to keep Bowie Jane in the game as they did in the past. Obviously, that's a huge issue for Bowie Jane because her game essentially depends on Matt and Jag winning comps to keep her safe. If Bowie Jane is being targeted by people, right? Like, she is actively being targeted by people. Cirie wants her out. Felicia wants her out. America said that if Matt or Jag are both safe, Bowie Jane would be a fine option to take out. Bowie Jane has people that are targeting her, but she's not being targeted because her allies keep winning. But now that she's severed those ties just a little bit with the people winning competitions, she's ruined her position. It's not in ruins. It's not like dead in the water. It's not completely obliterated or like scorched, but it's definitely not as good as it was in the beginning. And that's going to be a big issue with Bowie Jane. However, she has shown that she can win competitions. She can win a mental HOH. And she seems to be a pretty physically able person. Not able, what's the term? Like a physically apt person. So she could do pretty decent in these endgame comps. It's just going to be a matter of like, can she like actually like win the comps she needs to take shots at the people she needs to. I don't know if that makes sense, but if Bowie Jane wants to win, she has to sit next to like Felicia or Blue. But Bowie Jane wants to go to the end with Jag and Matt, and she loses handily against both of them, which is absolutely horrible for her game. But in terms of what she wants to do, that's what she's going to do. And I don't agree with the decision making, but that's what she's choosing to do. As it stands right now, Bowie Jane is in a good position. She still has Matt and Jag who want to take her forward in the game. Maybe not as eagerly, but they still want to take her forward in opposition as the likes of like a Blue or America or something like that. Like, Bowie Jane still has a lot of leverage to move forward in this game, but it's not as good as it was in past weeks. And because she lost that leverage, I have to put her here at number 4. At number 3, I have Suri. And, oh, that rhymes. Sorry, that just caught me off guard. But Suri is here because she wasn't nominated last week, and because of that, she had a lot of wiggle room to like maneuver and like socialize and strategize with, and that did her dividends. She's really bonded with essentially everybody in the house. The only issue is that she isn't in the power position she used to be in because she's not winning comps. But socially speaking, she's in a great position. Matt and Jag, more so Matt, really likes Suri and trusts her and wants to keep her around. Bowie Jane said that Suri is basically like her number one like woman, right? Felicia and Blue, they really like Suri, and America is starting to foster a much better relationship with Suri. So all in all of these people want to work with Suri, at least in the near future. And knowing Suri, she's going to be able to foster that relationship into a end game relationship. People who want to take her to the end. I really, really think Suri has the capability of making it to the final 2. I think she honestly could convince people to take her to the end, even though she knows she would beat them. I think she could convince Matt to take her. I think she could convince Jag to take her. If Blue somehow survives this week, Blue could probably win and take her to the end. If America's there, America could probably take Suri to the end. Like, she has a lot of avenues of people that could take her to the end. It's just a matter of, can she do it? Now, with what I said earlier about Felicia blowing up Suri's game and throwing Suri under the bus, obviously that does hurt her position. Obviously, Matt and Jag trust her a little less than they did beforehand, but Matt and Jag aren't acting on that in the current moment. Obviously, that might play a factor in the long term, but Matt and Jag aren't currently acting on that information as of right now. So Suri still does have a lot of time to recover from that misstep. If Suri is able to find out about that misstep, then Suri is going to be able to repair that handily. And if Suri is able to do that, she's guaranteed like the end game. It's also crazy, side note, it's crazy that Suri's veto chip has never been pulled. It's almost like her chip just literally never existed. The only time she played in veto was when she was guaranteed to play in veto. She played in the veto week 9 when Bowie Jane was HOH. Was that week? No, that was week. No, that was week. Last week, sorry. Week 10, Suri was guaranteed to play veto because Bowie Jane nominated her. Week 11, Suri was guaranteed to play in veto because everybody played in veto. But every single time she had the opportunity for her chip to get pulled, it didn't. And I think she holds the record. I think she is the first and currently only HouseGuest to never have their veto chip be pulled. And that is an insane statistic for her to have, competition-wise. But let's get back to like socially. Socially speaking, she's in an amazing position. She has a lot of different avenues, a lot of different people willing to trust her and take her far. And right now, it's just a matter of she needs to be able to manipulate those people who are winning competitions, people like Matt and Jag and maybe a Blue or America, whichever one of the two of them survives this week. It's just a matter of her needing to manipulate them into taking her further into the game. I know she can do that because she's done it in the past. And if she's able to do that, she's going to be great, which is why I have her here at number 3. At number 2, I have the invisible HOH and the current HOH. We have Jag. And first of all, it's absolute BS that Jag was able to participate in this HOH because a couple seasons ago, when they had an invisible HOH, the invisible HOH was forced to throw that competition. However, this season they just said, "Hey, you know what? Let's just let him play. Who knows what's gonna happen?" Who would have thought that if you have some sort of athletic HOH, the athletic people would do better in winning it? Now, I don't actually know whether or not this HOH was athletic, but it did seem like there was a somewhat athletic element to it. And of course, Jag is going to win it. If you let Jag play, Jag's going to win it. Not only that, Jag won the veto. Jag has now won 5 competitions in a row. Not only that, he's won HOH and veto back-to-back times. Like, that's insane. He's now at 7 competition wins. He's 2 away from tying with Michael last season. 2. Like, that's crazy. But enough about competition. Let's talk about Jag socially. Socially, he's in the same position he was beforehand. He's still closely aligned with Matt. He's still running this game. People still see him as a threat. But it seems like people are starting to respect his game more. It seems like in exit interviews, Corey was a lot more receptive to Jag's gameplay than, say, somebody like a Cameron. That's great for Jag's game. However, he's continuing to burn his jury votes. He put Blue in America up on the block. He's just further burning that bridge with Blue. I don't think Blue would ever vote for Jag in any circumstance against anybody he sits next to, unless he's sitting next to like Bowie Jane or Felicia. But even then, that scenario is never happening. I think Jag loses a jury vote handily to Matt. But what's interesting is that Jag seems to be the strategic mind of their duo. It seems like Jag is the one making more of the strategic decisions. It seems like Jag is the one who does a lot more of the thinking between Matt and Jag. But Jag seems to be the one taking more heat because, number one, he's the one who's like openly making the moves. And number two, Jag just executes his moves horribly. Like, nobody ever respects any of the moves Jag makes because he just burns so many bridges in the process. Now, when I say Jag is the strategic mind of their duo, that isn't me saying that he's a good strategic thinker. He's just doing a lot of the strategic thinking of their duo. I think Jag is really struggling. Not struggling. I think Jag is struggling to secure the votes he needs to win this game. He's already burned, I think, at least 3 people. I don't think America, Blue, or Cameron would ever vote for Jag in a jury vote. Corey probably gets swayed, depending on who Jag sits next to, and that's horrible for him. It's honestly, he's honestly doing so bad socially. It's bad. I made the comparison in the past, but I'll make it again. Jag almost has like Paul Abrahamian levels of bad jury management. And if he keeps this up, there's literally no chance he wins this game. And because of his like horrible social play and like how he's like dealing with the people that he's sending out, I have to keep him here at number 2. At number 1, the person who I believe to be in the best position is still Matt. And Matt is an interesting player because it seems like he's not making as much of the strategic decisions as Jag. Even though Matt is participating in the decision making, I think Jag is definitely the one who's being much more strategically aggressive in his gameplay. But despite that, Matt is the one who's garnering more of the respect. I think Corey said in his exit interview that Matt is the best player in the house, hands down. If you're being perceived as the best player in the house, that is great for you. And not only that, Corey really respects Matt. And if Corey respects Matt, there's a high likelihood that the rest of the house really does love and respect Matt. Because Corey should feel betrayed by Matt and Jag because of this move, but he doesn't feel betrayed by Matt specifically because Matt is just a naturally good social player. He's great at building bonds with people. He's great at just genuinely getting along with others. And what separates Matt from other good social players, somebody like an Enzo, is that Matt is really formulating these social ties into game relationships. He had a really good bond with Suri, but now he's using that personal bond that they have into a game relationship, saying that we can keep Suri around. Obviously, he's saying that he wants to keep Suri around because he thinks she's an easy beat, which he's wrong. But still, though, like Matt has that game connection with Suri, and Suri wanting to protect Matt over Jag. That's great for him. Blue is mad at Jag over Matt, which means Blue probably gives her jury vote to Matt. Bowie Jane probably a lot closer to Matt than she is to Jag. Like, overall, Matt is doing a great job at like keeping his social ties in place. I've said in the past that Matt needs to keep his social bonds on lock. He needs to keep them tight. He needs to keep them secure. And if he does that, he's going to keep his great position. And he's continuing to do that. Between Matt and Jag is the much bigger target, and Matt's probably going to skate by at least a little bit longer as long as he keeps this up. However, a caveat I do have to say is that I believe Corey did tell America that America should target Matt first, which is obviously Corey recognizing that Matt is the best player in the house and Matt is the biggest threat. So obviously Matt needs to be taken out. But if that sentiment does start spreading around that Matt is this big jury threat, Matt is this really respectable, likable person who probably sweeps a jury vote, if that sentiment starts spreading around the house, Matt's target is only going to grow bigger and bigger. And he's probably going to be taken out sooner. Maybe not before Jag, but he's probably going to be taken out a lot sooner because he's not winning as many competitions as everybody thought he was. He did win the double eviction veto, which shows that he is good in physical competitions, but it shows that he's really starting to struggle with these endgame comps, much more so than I thought he was, but it seems like he's really, really struggling. And that's really concerning for me. So there is definitely holes in Matt's game, but overall, he's in an amazing position and he has so much win equity, it's unbelievable. And because of all of that, I have to keep him here at number 1. Overall, this season is starting to lose steam, unfortunately. With Jag winning back-to-back HOHs, it seems like the Matt and Jag show, it seems like the Minutemen are running the tables, and it's really starting to get boring. Because nobody else can win a competition against either of the two of them, nobody, and I mean like nobody, is going to be able to stop Matt and Jag unless something drastic happens. I'm really, really hoping that something turns around where like somebody gets like targeted or something crazy like that happens, but in all honesty, I just don't see it. This season is really starting to become a drag. It's really starting to just like it's really limping towards the finish line, and that sucks because this season started off on such a high note. So many blindsides, so many vote flips, so many just like interwoven relationships and like a complex house dynamic that I don't think I've ever seen in something like Big Brother. I've ever seen like in the Big Brother house. But now because things are getting so rigid and the same people keep winning competitions to keep themselves in power, the gameplay is starting to become more stagnant. It's becoming a lot more predictable what's going to happen. And that just sucks, man. Like, that just really sucks. And I hope that this season picks it up somehow. Maybe in this double eviction that's coming up, some big twist, not a big twist, but some big shakeup. Like, remember, like, in, like, Big Brother 21 when Nicole won the double HOH? Maybe, like, during the double Felicia ends up winning HOH or something. Like, that would be insane. What else? Just literally any sort of shakeup where Matt or Jag doesn't win HOH. Like, please, something shake this game up for the end game. That's all I'm asking for. But I really hope this season picks it up because I really want this season to end strong. But those are just my thoughts. What do y'all think? Put your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends if you have any of those. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.